Hello, comadres. Awesome. All right. Hello. What is the last brave thing that you did, comadres? Our theme of this month is courage. April is going to be lit.
Exactly. Exactly.
We want to know what the last brave thing you did was. I think the last brave thing I did was go get my vaccine because I was slightly scared I might die. So.
Oh, that's right, because you're allergic to everything.
I'm allergic to everything, so I'm always slightly paranoid. It's like the one thing that makes me scared.
Keep an eye on Mighty Networks in case anybody.
All right, we've got like 9 people in here. Hello, Eva. Hello, Jersey. Angelique. Leslie, Marcy, Solange. Admitting I will never know everything.
Beauty.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I jumped in with a full body weight on my healing knee for an entire song. Good job, man. Solange is getting stronger. One of the last brave things I did too was I got in the ocean with Allie when it was really cold. It was really cold. And I hate cold water.
Well, I think I came up with my last brave thing.
Okay, what'd you do?
I've been doing reels, even though I still feel like a vieja doing them. Like I feel like an old woman. Like I feel like you know those memes of like the adult sitting in a kid classroom, like this is me on TikTok. Like yes. This is still how I feel doing reels, but I'm still doing them and I feel like better about them every time I do them. So that is the brave thing I'm doing.
Nice. There's a lot of good brave things going on. I like this. All right. So I think we will get this thing started. Courage.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about courage, Gabby?
Well, we thought we would kick off today with the fact that we, in January of 2020, December of 2019.
Yes.
When we were defining our word of the year, Jamie had her personal word, I had my personal word, but we really felt called to have a word for comadres, like a word together.
Yes.
And that word was courage.
As we made our partnership, we wanted a word that was going to bring us through that year.
And 2020 word was courage. And we, needless to say, had no idea what we were about to jump into in all that 2020 was. And so, as you all know, a couple months later, a global pandemic hits and it shifts everything that we had planned. Like we had all of these plans for the way that Las Comadres was going to grow. At the time, as many of you know, we were an in-person local community. We were local to South Florida. There was a lot of in-person events going on all month long. And we had this whole kind of big strategy on how to expand that, but based on that model, right? And all of a sudden, people can't get together. And I think that one of the really powerful things that setting that intention of courage did at the beginning of the year is that we honestly didn't even pause for reflection. We were just all right, go, brave next thing that we're going to do. Okay. We know that people still need connection. We know that people are going to need each other more than ever. We're going to move everything that we're doing and we're going to move it online and it's going to work. We were just it's working. Just go. And it was beautiful that we didn't even have time to be in our shit about it.
I had COVID.
Jamie got COVID 2 weeks, a week after the pandemic started.
We didn't have time for shit.
We didn't have time for anything.
There was no time. And I think in it, there was, not only was there no time, I mean, it was also because we love all of our comadres so much, it was okay, how do we showcase them? Okay, how do we keep everybody together? Okay, how do we do this in a way that works? And I mean, we were running this through Facebook.
Yes, we hosted this series called Lunch Break, where every single weekday at noon, we were having a panel of comadres just to keep things moving, keep the energy flowing, keep people excited, keep people getting hired in whatever way was physically possible at the time.
And let's put a heartfelt thanks to Allie.
Yes.
And Mio.
And Esther
for literally saving us through this.
Like they carried Las Comadres through.
Yes, they carried us in a
Through
way
that moment.
that was not possible. So, and especially as I like couldn't even sit up and talk for more than 10 minutes,
right.
let alone an hour to interview people. So
That's right.
there was like this coming together, but also really this like totally knowing like it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that had to do with that being the word of our year. Like, we don't know what's about to happen, but we're going to go into it with courage.
Yeah, with an open heart and trusting that it's going to be okay. I think that like one of the really interesting things about last year for me as somebody, and I don't know if you all are like this, and Jamie, and if you could, I can't read the comments from here. So
right,
like,
we're good.
But one of the, like for me, I love to have everything like planned out. Like I love it. Like for me, it brings me so much peace to know that like this is when this is happening and this is when this is happening and I know exactly what's coming next and like everything is in its place and I'm like, okay, now I'm good. Like that's how I like live, right? Like that's my natural, like the state that I want to default to. And 2020 just grabbed all of that and like literally poured gasoline on it and lit it on fire. And so my living courageously last year was so much about like becoming okay with the uncertainty and trusting that it was going to be okay and choosing to see a new path, like choosing to see all the magic that was still happening instead of like sitting and lamenting, oh, we're not getting together in person. Oh, this business is going to fall apart. Oh, like, what are we going to do now? And oh, what about all the people that rely? Like, no, it was like immediate creativity, immediate like bursts of energy from, I don't know where it all came. And like the choosing to believe that it was going to be okay, the choosing to trust that we were being guided on a path that has ended up being the path that we have now chosen as a community. So like Las Comadres will always be like a primarily online community. We will like organize and facilitate in-person events and encourage people in the same cities to do so. But like we have found our home online and it has become like who we are.
Yeah.
In this way that would have never been possible had there not been a pandemic and had we not declared courage as our word of the year.
Yes. And I think that like the thing that was sort of interesting is like the pandemic totally chose, like we did not have a choice, obviously nobody did. But like in it was like there was so much freedom in the fact that like this is just what's happening and like you're gonna have to choose something. So like just go all the way. Like if we were to be like, hey, we're gonna take our in-person community and then move it online and go from just Miami to all over the world to like, we never would have been able to do it.
No, I would have freaked out. I would have totally freaked out. If you would have said it like that, I would have been like, no, that's not like, no.
Yeah. And then you had no choice. And which is like the thing that's like super interesting is like, okay, like let's say you choose the thing that is most courageous versus something happens and then you have to act.
All right, this is big. This we wanted to talk to you all about. So can you think of a moment in your life where something happened and it forced you into courage? Like immediately my divorce comes up. Right? And it sometimes you're the person that chooses the divorce. And sometimes you're the person that the divorce happens to. Like, I feel like the divorce happened to me and it was like the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But like, what is a moment in your life where like something happened and you just like, time to get brave.
Yeah.
Like time to put on like the big girl panties and like do the thing, right? Like, what is that moment?
For me, it was when my oldest daughter got diagnosed with autism while I was pregnant with my youngest daughter.
Yeah.
And had a baby in the middle of there, a 2-year-old in the middle.
Oh my God.
That shit was great. Like that shit was, and literally no choice.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and I was on bed rest.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Choose brave, baby. Choose brave.
So
my business partner chose to dissolve our business at the same time I got kicked out of my apartment in a 3-month span.
Oh my God, when it rains, it pours.
But here, look, then Soledad was born. So like so many times, so many good things come out of it. Listen, I would not have probably been in business for myself. I had a job. Like I had it, which was kind of crazy that I ever had a job because it was the
I
only,
know, I can't imagine Jamie like
it's the
employed
only
anywhere.
actual, like I was the assistant athletic director at a private school and I was coaching. I had a salary for the first time in my whole life. I got paychecks on the regular. It was the weirdest thing ever. And I was like, oh, my kids can go to school here. We'll get this big discount. This is going to be great. And then autism and third baby and whatever. And I was like, I got to stay home with these people for a minute. And then I was like, oh, other than that, I was like, I got to be in business for myself.
Yeah.
And which is God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine me still working someplace? Oh, God.
No,
that'd be
I cannot. I absolutely cannot. So yeah, comadres, like who else has moments in your life that you can share that maybe forced you into courage? Because like, that's the thing, right? Like those are the moments that like, it's like a moment that like, where there's no other option, right? That like courage is it.
Yes, Yuri, I quit my soul-sucking job to travel the world and was 2 weeks in when Corona hit. So I came back home, jobless, lost in life, and scared shitless of the pandemic. But I pivoted hard, and now I am in the best place of my life.
Beautiful story.
So good, Yuri.
Wow.
Marcy says, my ex-husband died of suicide when my daughter was only 9 years old, and I was still recovering from our divorce 2 years earlier. That is some hard shit.
That is some hard, real shit. That will force you into courage. So often it's like a death in the family of somebody that like people relied on, right? And then like you just have to come through.
Had to plan my grandfather's funeral and left everything behind to care for my grandmother while everyone grieved and fell apart.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, comadres, man, y'all do hard shit. And you get to do even more fun, courageous stuff.
Yeah, that courage. Well, this is a thing, like, I think like we can just have like a linear conversation, because one of the things that Jamie and I were talking about earlier is why is it that we associate courage with these like moments that are like essentially like crush us, right? That like courage is this thing that comes up. Like you've noticed like the examples that we've given, it's like those moments where you think like, I'm either gonna die in this moment or like do something brave right now, or like show up with courage. Like that those are the moments that we tend to think about when we think about courage, and that it doesn't necessarily have to be like the end of the world, you know, like.
Well, and so many times like the courage comes after you have like nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
Right. Because like there's always this idea, like if I have this whole entire thing planned out, and if I'm going along, I can't change my plan because that would be hard and whatever. But if everything blows up, you're like, well, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
I will give you a perfect example. How many people do you know that have been saying they're going to quit their jobs for like 10 years? Boom. There it is. There it is.
Nothing makes me happier than when people call me to tell me they quit their job. And I seem to be the first person so many people call.
Yes, I am also. I also often get those calls.
So happy,
right? Like it's like if you, it's the getting tired of your own bullshit.
It is.
It's the moment that you get like when it comes to living courageously, not when courage is like forced upon you, but when it comes to just like making the choice to live courageously from now on. So much of it, I feel like it's just like I have given my last. Like the last one has just been allocated to this spot, and I no longer have any more to give. And from now on, like I am going to live courageously. Like, and that is the only choice. That is the only option on the table.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that it's like, it's one, getting tired of your own bullshit, right? Like, oh, well, I can't do this because of this. Oh, I can't do that because of that, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, but it's also the point where you're like, I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
Like, and that is like usually a piece that is like, oh, I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. These are experiences make us grow and shape us into who we are today. We don't grow. If we don't grow, we stay in our comfort zone. That's the part that's interesting. Outside of your comfort zone is where so much magic happens. And if you can like leave it, go outside your comfort zone over and over and over again, you start to realize it's not that scary out there.
Yeah.
Like, and that to me is the part that's like, oh, you're not gonna die. It might be a little exciting.
I think it's fascinating because like, actually Jamie and I were just here a couple days ago having a conversation about fear and what it means. Like, because like we could like carve out a little parentheses here to talk about like, so what's the other side of this courageous living, right? Like I literally was raised to be afraid of everything. Like that is how my mother thought that she was preparing me for the world, or I don't know if it was conscious, but like that is how she learned to live. And so that is how I was taught to live, from the point that like by the time I was 9 years old, like there were things that I wasn't doing. Like my friends would go play, and if it looked too dangerous, I was like, I'm gonna stand over here and not do it, because I have learned to be afraid of everything. And
you
to like
didn't learn
avoid
to ride
everything.
a bike until you were 37 years old, because she fell one time on a fence.
Yes.
And then it was never again.
And then it was like never again was a bike around me, because like I fell one time. And so therefore, so what lesson did I learn, right? Like you try something, it doesn't go perfectly, you never try it again. That is like the life lesson that I got like woven into the system. And it has taken me like the last, like my entire 30s to like undo and unlearn all of that. Like it's wild, but like so many people out there are living from a framework of fear, from a framework of like, because like we all like never get rid of fear. Like it's always like a part of our equation, but like when you are living your life completely exclusively on that framework, like this idea of courageous living is just like, it's unheard of. Like it's like it wasn't even in my realm of possibilities.
It's like all of my possibilities.
Yes, that's like why we're such a wonderful team.
Yes. I mean, for me, like if I was scared, it was like always like, do it scared, do it anyway, do it anyway. And like this probably got me into slightly more trouble than I, should have been in, because I would do things that were above my physical ability and like go crashing off of, sides of mountains and doing things.
I never broke one bone, not one.
I have injured every single part of my body. I've had 9 concussions. Like I move a little fast sometimes. So I should have had a little more fear, but just a tiny, tiny shred the thought of ever standing and watching other people do things, it wouldn't even occur to me. Like that is not a thought that would ever cross my mind.
But yeah, like to close it out, I feel like the thing that I kind of in hindsight really see clearly is that, I was taught to live this life based on fear. And when you live a life based on fear, you want to feel like everything is planned out and ready so that nothing is going to surprise you, right? Like nothing is going to come. You've made all the necessary precautions so that nothing comes out of left field and fucks up your little plan. And so like in that little plan, I like moved to the city I wanted to move to. I got married. I like got the good job that would give me like good benefits and good salary. Like I was on the right track to have a baby at exactly the moment that I wanted to. And then I feel like the divorce came and just like lit everything on fire. And like it was the spark of my living courageously. It was like the moment that it all fell. And I saw like, oh, like I was fed bullshit. Like I was fed a lie my entire life. Like I was told like, this is what you're supposed to do to have a good life. And I followed all the rules and I checked off everything from my to-do list and it didn't work out. Well, it's like, I was just like, well, like everything is up in the air now. Everything is up in the air and I am going to live like from my heart, like what I want. And I'm going to discover what that is. And that was the beginning of the courageous living for me.
Do you think the like reckoning with that made you like, did you think that every person has to have that reckoning?
I don't know if to that extent, because like I was coming from like this like other end of the spectrum, right? Like I was coming from the end of a spectrum of being afraid of everything. Maybe like other people get married and like don't have to let it get so bad before they get divorced. Or like other people recognize that they have a passion for something else and maybe more easily like are ripped from the security of a full-time job in order to do it. Like I needed something drastic to happen in my life so that I could shift. Like I recognize that now.
All right.
We've been having some comments. What do the people say?
Yuri says, same, her mother shoved fear down her throat her whole life. When I told my mother I was taking my first solo trip, she said, if ISIS kidnaps you, I'm not paying for the ransom.
That is totally something my mother would say. My Dominican mother and like would have totally said something like that.
That's awesome. Mia was talking about how often does a baby fall and then keeps getting back up. Agreed,
Yes.
Gabby. Ditto, I did that where my rebellious moment would step in. Yeah. And the thing is like, I've been having this conversation with a lot of clients lately about like how the stages of your life you need to do them and like how you have to sort of have a rebellion to be able to like know who the fuck you are. Right. And I had a really big rebellious state at like 12 to like 14. No, to like 17.
I thought you were gonna say 22.
No, I mean, and there was another one at 22, but like that one was like 12.
I was playing with Barbies.
I was just like, I mean, I played on a lot of boys teams. I did a lot of stuff and like people would tell me no and I'd be like, why? Like, yeah. I started to see the like, first you get good grades and then you go to college, you have to do these things to be a good person. And I wasn't particularly good at those things. So I was like, I'm still a good person. Fuck all y'all. Like, and I was there. I also have a lot of like trickster in me. Like, I was like, how am I going to hack this? Oh, okay. I'm going to get C's and be really good at sports and still go to college. It'll be fine. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm going to like, oh, what are the things I'm good at? I'm good at talking. Okay, I'm going to make my teachers love me so they won't fail me.
Yeah, like you charmed them.
And that's the thing that's like but I think you have to know who you are. I think it is very courageous to know who the fuck you are.
100%.
And so to step into that bravery,
to know and live into it.
Yeah, to embrace it fully.
Yeah, that
takes like courage. And I think that those are the things that like, I mean, it's like I can think of a million examples where people were like, oh, well, she's not going to. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, dude. People have fucking opinions about everything. And they tell you, like, at least in the South, they're all polite. They're like, oh, you're going to be fine. Did you hear that Jamie, whatever? But like,
because Jamie lived in New York and in Georgia as a child. So yes,
I had both experiences and it's an interesting idea. All right. So what's next?
We haven't talked about. Why does it even matter? Like, why does courage matter? Like, why is courage important? I think it goes back to what you were just saying, that you get to know who you are.
I think if you aren't choosing courage, you are probably choosing what somebody else wants for you.
Yeah.
Right? So
wait, I think we need to sit with that.
If you are not choosing courage, you are choosing what somebody else wants for you.
Or what you think someone else wants for you.
That's true too. And like in that, you have not chose but it all comes back to like that Glennon Doyle quote, right? Like every time you're selling yourself out, right? Like every time you are not choosing yourself, you're just like letting it all go.
You're losing parts of you.
And it comes back to this idea of like, you should be disappointing people.
Yeah.
Because their opinion doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
My children should disappoint me as long as they are doing what they believe in their heart is what they need to do.
Yeah.
Gabby should disappoint me as my business partner so that she is truest to herself. I should disappoint her as I am truest to myself. And then you work on those things.
And this idea that like, that doesn't destroy relationships.
No,
because I grew up with that, like, and part of like the school of fear is like, you never have disagreements. You never disappoint people. You never have confrontations, which is like how sad is that? Because it's like, you just feel like, it's like these relationships that are so important to you are so incredibly fragile that they can't survive a disagreement.
I disappointed my parents so damn much early on. I was like, they're not going to die. We're good.
We're good.
We're good. And it's a very easy thing, like, to let the decision be made outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And so, like, choosing courage in those moments to be like, that doesn't align with me.
Yeah.
That is not my path. That is not what I'm going to do. I can be successful in a totally different way. Knowing who you are is a holy shit moment, but actually living it and loving it is another holy shit experience. Thank you, Angelique, for the quote of the day, baby. Nice one. And that, I think, is the thing. It's like really being like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
This is who I am. And it's kind of interesting because there were parts of, for whatever reason, I think this is just how I was wired. Like, the one place in my life that I was really brave is with my opinions. Like, I remember, like, I was like a really good student and whatever, like I would participate, but anytime there was like a debate for like women's rights or for things like that, like I would just be like, I was like 11 years old and I would like hold up the class. I was like, you will not get away with saying blah, blah, blah. Like, if I had to defend people, like, and I had to fight against injustice, like I somehow accessed a courage that I didn't have in like any other part of my life. And I think it's just like how I was wired. Like, I've had that since I was a little girl.
But that was also seen as good.
Well, not necessarily.
But it's seen as noble.
Perhaps.
Like, listen, if you were arguing like for drugs to be, handed out in elementary school, that would not have been seen as good.
But here's the thing though, like I was definitely like, I was in a Catholic, like in a Catholic developing country arguing for women's rights to choose and for gay rights. Like, I was not seen as noble by anybody around me. I felt like I was.
Well, you felt like you were, but I also think that your parents, you were not going to get in more trouble.
No, I wasn't going to get in trouble for it.
You might get in trouble with the
but it was like the one spot in my life that I remember as a little girl, like accessing courage, like, and I guess that part never went away. Thank God.
It's there. And everybody has courage in some part of their life.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what are the parts of your life where you are courageous, and maybe the parts of your life where you have an opportunity to access more courage. And I'm going to go there just to make this easier and clearer, that many times that courage is actually vulnerability. Thank you, Brené Brown.
Yes.
All right. So here we go, comadres. Where do you feel in your life like, I can be brave here, no problem, I'm good. But in this other part of my life, it's like, wait, who are you talking to? I'm not here.
I don't want to be brave over there. It's too hard. It's too hard. I feel like, so in friendships, I can access courage, but in romantic relationships, no way.
That's a big one.
That is a big one. Showing softness, love, and singing on a regular basis. Yes. Dude,
so many women who are like powerhouses in their businesses and careers and haven't access to similar kind of courage when it comes to demanding what they deserve in romantic relationships. 1,000,000,000%.
Yes. My comfort zone is rebellion. I am with Solange. It's easy.
You two are very similar.
Yeah, it's easy for me to access courage and rebellion, but like if I actually like really give a fuck about the person, like in a way, it's much, much harder.
Well, and here's the thing: if your comfort zone is this rebellion, then like where is the courage for you? Is it like going super deep in vulnerability with someone? Like that's what courage is. Especially like I can access that like super easy.
Yeah.
But like doing something that I'm unfamiliar with is like, what?
Sandy says, I am brave in giving advice to others, but suck at taking my own advice. Yes. Marcy's the opposite. I'm good at setting boundaries in romantic relationships, but I have a hard time doing it in friendships. It's interesting that those two things are separate.
Yeah. For a lot of people.
No, I know. It didn't occur to me until I saw it written.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that the like accessing and knowing when you need to access it, like knowing when you have to lean into it, right?
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, okay, this is something that's been holding, like I'm holding myself back on this.
Yeah.
Versus like like, am I like not good at this thing, or am I holding myself back at this thing? Like,
well, and like,
and sometimes it's both. I mean, sometimes it's.
I think the opportunity of this conversation is like every single person watching or watching the recording, like right now, come up with like the one place in your life where you want to more intentionally like show up courageously, right? And so now that you have it, like actually sit with it for a little bit. Like instead of just like, yeah, it's that thing. Okay, let's keep talking about something else. Like instead of just like glossing over it, like what happens if you sit with that a little bit? Like what happens if you meditate on that? What happens if you journal on that? What happens if you like really sit with what the energy of that is telling you? And like, and have that be your practice for this month. And in 30 days, see how far you can get. Because like, I'll share my story of how this showed up recently in my life. So I have been divorced for 10 years. My son is 10 years old. And recently, like the relationship with his father has sort of been like this over the years, but we are going through a very deep, dark lull right now. Like it got really, really nasty, really, really bad recently. And I was talking to my current partner. I was talking to my boyfriend, and he said something to me that just freaked me the fuck out. It just woke me up. You know how like sometimes somebody just says the one perfect thing to you, and he said, Gabby, in like every part of your life, I see you as just this like goddess that shows up and like is confident and is a go-getter, and it like just shows up and is open-hearted and is brave and like all these things. And he's like, and when it comes to managing your relationship with your ex, you just like shrink, like you become like you make yourself really small, you become this like shadow of who you are. And it was just like to have the person that like knows and loves you so much to say that to you, like it was just like he said it in the exact words that I needed to hear to be like, oh, fuck this. Like, it was like, I needed to hear those words to have my come to Jesus moment to be like, okay, never again. Okay, like this bullshit of making myself small for this man, to walk on eggshells because I'm afraid of how he might react or what he might say to our son or what he might do. This bullshit of acting to like try to get him to like me and be in peace so that we're cool and everything. And I remember like my boyfriend said, like, has he ever been nicer to you because you were nicer to him? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, so like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I making myself small around this person? And it was just like the moment I got it, like I have set up the best boundaries. We only talk logistics. It's beautiful. Yeah. Like, and I honestly have never felt more like myself. And like, this month has been phenomenal.
Also the other part of it is like, you knew all this, but you just couldn't figure out how to access it.
No, and I couldn't see it.
You were like, I feel this way in front of him, but you didn't realize you were showing up that way in front of him.
And exactly. And I had even thought about like, oh, like I want to show up really, like I want to like sort of like meditate before I walk in the door, because I knew how I felt.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I was in the middle of the problem and he showed me what it looked like from over here. And I was like, what? And so like, that's my story, right? Like that was one part of my life where I have very consciously accessed courage. And I have no doubt that I'm keeping this up. I feel so good that there is no way on earth that I am going back to the way that I was with him.
I mean, listen, once you make a decision,
yeah,
you make it.
You make it. That's the thing.
No. I mean you.
Oh, me?
It takes you forever to get to a decision.
Once I get there, I'm there.
But once you're there, you're like, it's over. That thing no longer exists. It's done.
Not going back.
Not going back. Which
right,
I love.
So what are some parts of your life where you know you want to access courage? Let's get real with each other.
We want to see.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jamie?
I think that where I like get like is accessing. I have no problem being in the woo side of me. Mm-hmm. It's putting the woo side of me out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like leading. I like being.
Yes. And you'd be so good at deleting.
I know, I'm getting there. But I definitely like, I've been learning to read tarot with Marlene, and like, I love it. It's super powerful, but it also feels very much like, oh, just for the people over here.
Yeah, it's just from a little people, like you're not ready, like you haven't been ready to show up publicly.
No.
Oh, yes. Oh,
but we're getting there.
Yes.
I mean, you know,
this is a good 2021.
This is why I said it out loud. This is why I said it out loud.
Fantastic. All right. What do the people got?
Tell victimhood to keep walking and welcome joy maintenance. I like business. Sandy says business and my God-given spirituality. I am working on my full belief of me. Yes. I haven't been ready to show up publicly with my business, but I want to. We want to see this stuff. I will tell you guys the other thing. Showing up in comadres is like the safest way to start the public.
It's your transition.
It's the transition space. That's why we built the whole goddamn place.
Yeah, like it's so much safer, like to say the things out loud, to be like, I'm afraid to post this publicly yet, but like, can I just post it here? Let me know what you guys think, you know, like it's so the place to sort of, yeah, like try the things out, whatever it is in your life.
Yeah. It's like a beta in comadres. Yes, it is.
Yes.
It totally is. And
that.
So many cool things have started in a way. Yes, my webinar was the perfect launching commodities, right? Like Solange literally just did this like a couple months ago, and it's perfect. It's a great place to like see and get really good feedback.
Exactly.
To be honest, like, and be like, oh, this part was unclear. This thing is what needs to change, but the rest of it was fucking badass.
Because a lot of us are new business owners, and it's like, you look around and there seem to be so many people who are like so polished and experienced, and you're like, I'm over here like trying to figure it out, and like
everybody has been there.
We've all been there, and like in many extents we're all still trying to figure things out. And so like, this is why we created this community, so we can do it together, and there's like no shame in it. They're like, no. On the contrary, there's like encouragement to actually show up.
Damn, I get to show more music off in comadres and art.
Who is this?
Solange. Yes. And that's the thing, like take the things that are a little bit scary, and
I think Solange needs to do a takeover.
Ooh, yes, she does.
Y'all, so open to everybody here and watching. Like, we have started doing these regular comadre takeovers of our Instagram account for Las Comadres, and they're going fantastically. Patty Swell did one yesterday. So yeah, this is such a good way of like encouraging you. Like, this is a really brave thing to do, right? Especially for those of you who aren't as comfortable like showing up publicly, to decide like, yes, I will do a takeover. And I will show up and show my day and speak to the community and be open about the things that matter to me and the things that I want to create. Like, that's some brave shit right there.
It is some brave shit, and you get some really, really good results. Yay. It's so good.
Yay.
Yes, so good. All right, what's the next one?
Courage is different for everyone.
Courage is totally different for everyone, and I think it's different in different areas of your life.
We were just like alluding to that, right?
Yeah.
The fact that like I can do something that could be like no big deal, and for someone else, when they do it, it's like huge, and like that's something to be celebrated, right? That like the things that might seem brave to me are like no big shit to Jamie, and vice versa. And so this is part of the conversation we're going to continue to have this month, is how like you are the only one who can know what courage looks like to you, because you are a result of like the way you were raised, your life experiences, your beliefs, your mindset, your openness, your like whatever's happening with your mental health right now, like your like soul work, like it's, you have your own unique combination of all those things, and based on all those things, you are going to have like the pieces of your life where you want to access courage, and you're going to know like, what does courageous you look like in those pieces, like, right? Like, start having the vision, because you have that dream, you like have that vision of how you want to show up, but like, then how would it take, like, what does it take from here to there? That's where courage comes in.
one of my favorite questions is always the like, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
And that to me is like this idea of, oh, okay, like, and afraid doesn't have to be like so terrified I would never do it. Afraid can be like, oh, I totally said I was going to go on Instagram Live and I didn't do it. Okay, now what am I going to do to switch that? And like, what are the things that are the little steps into that bravery, right? Like, what are the things that are like, oh, I want to be doing more of this. Like, who can hold me accountable, right? Where can I like access that to feel good in it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you have to like, you got to do like step 1 through 5 to do the first part, and then the like real like courageous thing, right? Like the first time, I mean, I'm always surprised how many people have the same experience about going live like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Like I was terrified. Gabby Polici, the other Gabby, was my coach at the time. And it went on for weeks. She was like, I was like,
did you do it?
I was like, I gotta go live. And she was like, you gotta go live. And this is when Facebook Live like first came out. Like, so they didn't, I mean, I wasn't even like really on Instagram at the time. It was like when Facebook was the big thing. And she was like, go live. Like, it was like ridiculous. And I was like, I need to find that video. Cause I'm like this the whole time. My eyeballs are like this big. I'm like, this is terrifying. But I did it and I didn't die. And then afterwards I was like, I mean, first of all, I was like sweating, but I was like, afterwards I was like, that really was not that bad.
Yeah.
And that is the experience I hear over and over and over again. Like, oh, it's not really that bad. So like a lot of times I think
you didn't die.
You didn't die. But like a lot of times there's like the things, like if it's a physical thing, I'm like, whatever, I'll go do it. No big deal.
Like, yeah, it's so cool. It's so interesting.
I'm like, oh, you want me to go climb a tiny little ladder and stand on a platform this big and go do trapeze? Sure, I'll see you later. Like, you want me to create an Excel spreadsheet and like present it to somebody? No. Like, this is terrible. I mean, partially because I'm really bad at it, but like, oh, these are the things that like switching it. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, like where are you avoiding?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? And what would you do if you weren't afraid? I want to know what you guys would not do if you weren't afraid.
What would you do if you weren't afraid? We're sit here. Talk amongst yourselves.
Let's see it.
How about you, Janie? What would you do if you weren't afraid?
I've already done the thing that I'm really scared of. I'm not really sure if I'm ready to admit on Reels, but I mean on real life. But I am going to shaman school.
You're going to shaman school. That's right. That's right. You decided to do the thing.
I decided to do the thing. This is taking me 2 years.
Wait, when are you signing up? It's May, right? You said May?
I have to sign up by May. I'm going to sign up. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for one more payment from somebody else.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you for the congratulations. What would you do?
That's a big deal.
Singing on Instagram every day with my face showing. Yes, Solange, we need to see your face.
Yes.
I'm avoiding finalizing my mini course and putting that together, the content. Steph, we want to know when you are getting that done by. Solange, do it daily. Yes, Solange, we love hearing you sing, man.
Yes, it's lovely.
I was just like sorting through our YouTube stuff and I saw Solange and Kiba's
thing from the holidays.
It was so nice. All right, what else would you do if you weren't afraid?
Let's see what I got.
What would you do if you weren't afraid?
I'd write that book.
Ooh, the book is starting, my friend. Oh, I'd move to Bali right now. Can you move to Bali right now? Are you allowed?
Will they let you?
Will they let you in?
Will they let you in?
I'd find a way. All right, Yuri, get on it, man. Go get vaccinated and maybe you can take your vaccine passport. Let's go.
That's right.
Oh, I'd swim with the sharks. But yeah, no. I respect the seal. Yes, you're right. I will come visit you. All right, people, listen, I think Yuri, if you get yourself to Bali, you'll have like a million comadres coming to visit you every
comadres retreat. What's up?
I would go skydiving. Go skydiving, man. Do it.
See, you all are saying the things now.
I know. And you know what happens when you tell me
You know what happens when you say the things out loud in las comadres.
You then have to do them. That is what's going to happen.
You have to do them.
What else? What else? I want to know more stuff. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Oh, the book.
The book. The book is one thing for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely living more courageously these days for sure. You know what I would do? I kind of have the opposite problem with you, where like I feel like sometimes I'm afraid of my own power, and I'm afraid of really taking the time to cultivate it and go really deep. Like with my meditations and my brujanas, we talked about this. We talked about the thing that like I feel like sometimes like I feel like I go so deep, I don't know if I can bring myself back.
Right.
So like if I weren't afraid, like I would be like consciously and actively exploring that.
That's I mean, part of my, like, if I go all the way in, I will then lose my groundedness. That's part of my like weird story about it.
Like we'll become aliens and then maybe we won't be able to do this job.
I don't know. Don't worry, man. I feel like, you know, we got enough people who pull us back.
Yeah.
If I learn to get in a car and drive overcoming your fear of driving.
Oh,
yes.
Awilda. Yes.
Awilda and maybe Lillian can take some driving lessons.
That's right.
Continue to participate in the healing communities. Yes. I fear that they will see my rebellious attitude and think it needs to change. No, that is not true, Solange. I will tell you for certain, most of the people in all of the woo stuff are all super rebels. They just hide it.
Yeah. Like all the people in the woo stuff have been told their whole lives that they don't belong and that they like need to be like other people. And they're like, fuck that.
Yeah, no,
I stepped into it.
But so. I will tell you that was my same. I had like the idea that the like rock and roll piece of me would be like sucked out and put into like white robes and whatever. And it's just you can be like spiritual and explore your soul work in a way that's completely your own. Yes.
And find people that like match up with it. Because over the years, I've definitely it took me a while to land with like my people that I can go like deep in the woo with and have ceremony with and trust that they fully see me and fully celebrate me exactly as I am. Like I can't shock them. I can't shock Jamie.
No,
there's nothing I could say.
No.
And it's a beautiful thing to like know that you found your people that, you know, will hold you in that place.
Yes, definitely.
All
right.
So our closing question is, what if we didn't have to wait for some dramatic end of the world moment to be brave, to live courageously? So like, what does living courageously mean for you? I think for everybody watching and everybody who will watch the replay, like that's the question. What does it mean for you? For me, like the concept that I really recognize that like really resonated with me was the concept of self-betrayal. Like, am I betraying myself with my choices, with the words that I say, with my behavior? And so like, I feel like I live now in this like check of, am I betraying myself? And like, if it's a yes, then like, that's not something I'm going to do. I'm actually going to choose this, even if it feels difficult or it feels like a challenge. I'm absolutely going this way. So for me, like that's my gut check to live courageously. And I think that like, here's the thing about living courageously, like as you all share like what living courageously means to you, as with everything, it's a muscle that you exercise. The more that you do it, the easier this becomes. Like if this is all like new for you in some way, trust that like now you're in the conversation, like now you're in it, you're in this world, you're in a community of self-identifying women who have decided to live courageously. Like stepping out of our comfort zone and being vulnerable are literally 2 of the 4 commitments of this community. So like, why not like lean all the way in and recognize that every single time that you do something brave, the next time is going to be like less difficult than the last time. And you're just going to start easing into it. Because now like Jamie and I are truly at a point where we're like, yeah, like this is just kind of how we live, right? Like this is like, because it's been years of a commitment to courage.
And I think that the other thing is like being able to name it.
Yeah.
Right. Because like for a long time, like I really believed that other people weren't scared, which makes no fucking sense at all. But I really was like, oh, they're not scared. Anytime someone did something, they must not have been scared.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm always terrified.
Yeah.
Right. But then once I started talking to more and more people, I was like, everybody's fucking terrified. And then I was like, oh, you can be terrified and do it anyway.
Well, and this is one of the beautiful things about this community is like when we get together and we gather and you hear everybody's voices and everybody's truth, that's when we see ourselves as mirrors. We're like, oh my God, like I'm walking out of here and I feel braver because I see that everyone else is scared. I see that everyone else is scared and also has courage and also has dreams and also has fears. Like it's like all these things like exist in all of us. And I don't have to make myself like different and like less than for thinking that maybe I'm the only one that's afraid.
Yeah. The story that got me the most was like in one of Brene Brown's books. She was talking about how when people speak on stage, right? And like the number one fear out there in the world is public speaking, right? And so the idea is like when people speak on stage and their voice is shaking and they're like terrified up there and you're watching them, you always are like sending
rooting.
them and
you're rooting for them.
And you're like, come on, you can do it. You're doing great. I know that exact fucking feeling. And you're like rooting for them. And when it's you, you're like, everybody thinks I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And is this not true? Like, it's like, and when I read that, I was like, because I used to be terrified. I mean, I just didn't like any form of public speaking. I didn't like to be on video. I didn't like to be on a stage. Yeah. I didn't like to be, I'm loud. Like I could be loud, like with my people, but no, none of that. And like, once I got it, I was like, oh, everybody's fucking scared.
Yeah.
Everybody's scared. And I have so much more like love for the person that's up there doing it anyway. Like if you're in the ring, man, I'm like rooting for you. So yeah, there it is. All right. We got a lot of comments in and we've started backing up. Here we go. Steph said, I fear that people will find out how I do my work and then no one will want to talk to me. Dude, just tap into the freaking channeling and do it, my friend. Do it. Sorry.
I think you, like, Steph, you could, if you just heard that comment out loud, you're like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I've known Steph long enough to be able to be like, shut the fuck up and do it anyway. Thanks, Gabby. Your self-betrayal check is an excellent way to stay on track. Yes, living courageously for me is to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone, keep showing up and keep leveling up, and to do it instead of talking about it. Ask for support and allow myself to be seen. Yes, Mio. Yes, yes, yes. Do it. Living courageously for me is staying completely true to myself and not allowing the old me to come back and knock on my door with flowers and chocolate asking for forgiveness.
I love this.
Yes, Angelique. Yes.
Like the old you is like a shitty ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
And you're like, actually,
no.
Don't open the door.
No. You can leave that shit there.
Leave the flowers. I'll take them later. I'll
eat the chocolate.
I'll eat the chocolate. That's right.
Yes, letting go of the old self. Yes, yes, yes. And I think it is really like stepping into the courage of like who you want to become.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, there's so much magic in it, right? Yeah. So much magic. Cause like that feeling you get after you do the scary thing, the wind is blowing for us right now.
Love it.
Wind is blowing over here. Like once you do the scary thing,
yeah, and
you don't die,
then you realize it's gonna be fine.
Like there's nothing better than that feeling. You're like, yeah.
Then you absolutely realize it's gonna be fine. Like those are the moments that you just like recognize, like, oh, I could do this, and I could do it again, and I could do it again, and I can do it again.
Which is one of the reasons to like practice it too. This is like one of the reasons why it's really good to do a little bit of the scary thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because then the expansion of like, oh, all right, that wasn't that bad, right? Or, you know, like that kind of stuff, I feel like is a big.
Absolutely. I think like that's a beautiful like sentiment to close with, is that like recognition. First of all, a warning. we have all set and declared courage as an intention. And you
words
just
are
heard,
spells.
you just heard what happens when you declare courage as an intention. So April's going to be lit. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be powerful. Get ready for the opportunities and really define a couple things. Define, what does courage look like for you? And what are the pieces of your life where you want to show up more courageously? So that when these opportunities come up, you're going to recognize them. You'll be like, aha, there it is. There's that decision that has to be made. There's that opportunity that has presented in front of me. There's that possibility. How am I going to show up? What am I going to choose? And 9 times out of 10, those areas in your life where you get to show up more courageously, it's the thing that gets you out of your comfort zone. It's the decision that you don't usually make, right? It's deciding not to postpone this until next month for once, right? To like actually face it head on and do the thing. So like that's what this month is going to be all about. Come on.
And listen, even if it's just a practice for 1 month, see how it goes.
Yes.
I think that one of the things about like courage that's super interesting is the idea that like every time it's a choice.
Yes.
So like if you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to just try this for a month and see, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Magic, baby.
30 days. All right, comadres. So we have some updates for you. April is open enrollment again. Yay! So we are opening our doors to our community. We finally got in a steady quarterly schedule. And so our community is going to open now in April, then again in July, and then again in October or September? October. And so like those are the open enrollment dates that you can expect for the rest of the year. We are opening our doors towards the end of the month, as we usually do. So if you are an affiliate, get ready. Start thinking of your people that you want to bring on. If you have not become an affiliate yet, we actually sent a note this morning to the new comadres with a link to become an affiliate. But that's something that you're going to be hearing a lot more about over the coming like week or so within the community. And just to give you a heads up, when you are an affiliate, you receive 20% of the membership fees of anybody that you enroll, as long as they are an active member of the community. So
every quarter you get paid out, and it is nice to get little money.
Yeah, a little extra money. And like, we just wanted to reward a behavior that was already organic, which was all of you getting so excited about being in this community that you're telling your friends about it. So that's coming up. We decided to do like a really fun networking for open enrollment this time around. So our networking event is going to be open to the public. So you can invite your friends. Like if you've been to those networkings that are super, super fun, where we like do breakouts and match you up and like get to know each other and then like come back to the group, like we're going to do that in a larger group. So that's coming up, I think Wednesday. What Wednesday is that?
The 20th.
Network with us.
We gotta get things to load.
There it is. April 21. Wednesday, April 21, that's coming up. We have a really fun webinar coming up for you, which we haven't shared anywhere yet, but we will share with you. The topic is sovereignty. What happens when you choose you, or how to choose you. We're still figuring out how to word it. But that is going to be the topic for the next webinar that's coming up on that Saturday of that last week of the year. So it's going to be amazing. So we're super, super, super excited for that with you, comadres. And then the rest of our usual events are up. We would love to see you there throughout the month. So again, just think about like, maybe like what are 1, 2, or 3 events that you want to make sure that you come to, and make sure that you have your push notifications set for Mighty Networks so that you are getting the updates on your phone app for what you want to be on top of.
Yeah. Next week we have Cafecito is always on Monday, and then we have co-working on Thursday. So we will see you guys all month using your courage.
All right. See you soon, brave comadres.
Bye.